Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a quick informational video with regards to the suspension system on one of these F15 X5s. This video should apply to other X5s as well, and actually any car with air suspension. The footage you're going to see in this video is not from this car in particular. It doesn't have optional air ride in the rear because it's just a 5-seater. So if you look at this car, it is a 5-seater, but these X5s did come in a 7-seat option with a third row, and that's what my buddy bought. He bought a 2014 X5 with the M Sport package. I'll include some footage of it. Alright, so quick story with regards to that car. He bought it used. It's a 2014 X5 with the M Sport package, and when he bought it, the rear air springs would sag down. I'll cut over to some footage of that. So naturally, he had those replaced under warranty because he had just bought the car, and the car kept throwing chassis malfunction errors. After a lot of back and forth and testing, we've actually set up ISTA on a laptop. So what we found is the car was unable to purge air and drop down. We tried changing the solenoid, and then we realized that the issue was internal to the compressor. He got a quote for $2,350 from the BMW dealer to replace the compressor, but we opened it up just to see if maybe there's something obvious in there. As soon as we opened it up, there was water everywhere inside the desiccant filter. So upon opening the compressor, we found that the desiccant filter that's built into the compressor was clogged up completely, full of water, and the compressor could run and it could actually charge up the bags, but there was too much resistance to vent naturally, and you'd get that error code. So in principle, it's actually the same as one of these airline dryers. If you look inside there, there's some balls that turned pinkish purple that used to be blue. Eventually they no longer function, they can't absorb any more moisture, and they no longer serve their function, and you can encounter issues. I actually had this clog up on me when I was painting my car because these had done their job and they're no longer able to absorb moisture. They'll actually expand as well. So we're gonna cut to some footage of us taking the compressor apart and changing these out. You can actually buy them on Amazon, the beads inside here, and rectifying the issue for about $12 instead of $2,300. And we're in a humid climate, we're in Houston, but I imagine this issue will affect cars all over the country. It seems like the F15s with the air suspensions in particular, once they're around 3 or 4 years old, are gonna start to encounter issues. And this video should be helpful for people. So let's cut over to the footage of the repair, and then we'll conclude. Okay, so you're gonna have 2 T30 screws on the side of this plastic housing, here and here. And be mindful of the fact that this is spring loaded, so when you remove the second screw, it's going to shoot out. So now we got to remove this piece here. It just pops off to get to the desiccant pieces inside. So that's what can happen if you don't plan for it, but it's not a big deal. We're changing those anyway. So that just pops out, and then you have this foam pad. These are the desiccant balls themselves. They absorb water, and eventually they get so compacted with water that air can't flow out of the compressor. You can flow into the bags because it will compress past it, but not enough room to naturally drain. So these are the replacement desiccant balls. They're 1 to 3 mm and you can get them on Amazon. We'll put a link in the description. So we're gonna fill it up, but not all the way. You need a little bit of expansion room and breathing room near the top, probably a few millimeters. So air has to pass through here. You gotta leave a little bit of room. As these things absorb water over time, they will expand and eventually they'll get overwhelmed by water and air can't vent one way or the other. So that's why you leave a little bit of breathing room. So you gotta remove an O-ring right there and stick it back on here. So originally when we pulled this piece off, water just dripped everywhere. It was a huge puddle. It showed that the desiccant balls in here were completely overwhelmed, and therefore when the compressor would run it could fight the resistance and pump up the airbags, but when you would go to vent, it vents from here in the vent tube. It wouldn't be able to pass air back out to lower the car as needed, and then you get that error code. And that error code states that it took too long to drop when commanded. So given we're in a southern climate, this is Houston, it's always humid and rainy and whatnot, you're very likely to build up moisture. This car is only 4 years old, or 4 or 5 years old, and it already failed. I imagine a number of cars are going to have this issue. Gotta put the spring in place. So it looks like it took less than half a pound of desiccant, and that's pretty much it. It's ready to go back on the car now. Factoring in the bag, it was probably 3 or 4 ounces. If you guys are curious what a healthy compressor sounds like, we verified that this compressor is still good. We actually pulled this cover off and looked at the piston and the cylinder wall, and everything looked fine. So we're going to give it some power and you can hear what a good one would sound like. So sorry, this is not my usual format. I just actually got some footage from my friend as he was working from home, and it's just a little storytelling situation here, but that's going to save you guys a ton of money. If you're getting that error code on your X5 or any car in particular with an air suspension, if you're not able to purge, the car won't drop down and it throws an error saying it took too long to drop, consider checking the desiccant filter. They seem to be serviceable. That, you know, you may have moisture build up and you can save yourselves a ton of money. Just out of curiosity, we continued to open up that compressor to see how the piston and everything looked, and it looked mint, it looked new. So there really would have been no point replacing that compressor for $2,300 when, you know, there's tons of life left in it. So anyway, hopefully you guys found this video helpful or entertaining. Consider subscribing for more content like this. I upload regularly.